I decided to make this the last video so that you can hear a concise, cogent, articulate, and effective argument so that people cannot make the despicable, oppressive, and illogical argument that my presentation suggests or definitively shows mental illness. This is the land of presentation, addiction, feel-good, fellowship, false pride, quite often as the determinant, deter men on. Family values, impressing people with tricks, magic tricks, illusion. Etc. Therefore, my ideals, values, religion, martial arts system, etc., will never truly take hold here, not just because eventually I'll be screened out, but because of how people are. Nature and nurture related problems that have everything to do with discipline. The inability of those who would follow me otherwise to access the food they need, to create the time they need, to properly allocate the energy, and to make a great effort, much less their inability to understand that scientific proof is not required here, nor would it make a difference, because you cannot understand the spirit scientifically. Only the footprint that is left behind at best. It is like a footprint of an unknown species that tells you very little about that species, and you're relying on scientists to describe it when one must be in touch with that species to understand. So when we look at, there's a lot of wordplay to consider. I'll leave that alone. Not doing things my way is foolish. It is logic that I am where one needs to look if they are sincere about connecting to God. What you see happening is a control freak rivalry taken to the point of intense, radical, extreme, and basically insane immaturity. If one was to do a threat assessment, where is the real threat? I'm always under surveillance. And there is 15 witnesses to that effect. There are 15 witnesses to that effect. The real threat lies in the eugenic system and its controllers being threatened. But that isn't even that great of a threat. Basically, the local attractive women are at somewhat risk of being of gravitating toward me instead of toward the social controllers. Number two, the term copycat perhaps is all I need to say to prove my point about everything. Where is the source of religion? What is the source of martial arts? Do you want to listen to the copycats or the leopard? The ka, the T is the feminine suffix, or however they put it, that is added, the consonant that is added. The ka, that is the source of this. The ra, ka, the leopard. And there, his only begotten son, Haru. His only son that is dedicated to traversing, to connecting to the sun, to the heavens, the hawk. So we look at this in terms of embarrassment, right? More than just copycats deciding to spread my argument and pretend that they're like me, and it's not really a threat, right? Is embarrassment a problem? No, not particularly. All I'm really doing is elaborating on existing embarrassment that everyone's aware of to a certain degree. When we look at the influence that Bruce Lee had, even though he was a movie star, even though he has a more American-friendly look to him, right? Whether people want to admit it or not, a white Asian martial artist is more likely to influence the population than a half-black martial artist with a Nigerian last name. Okay, Nigerian names. So what we really see here is the problem is that God's perspective on women locally. And in God's perspective, we see that it is more disturbing that people submit themselves, we'll call it scientific submission, to evil, than the fact that evil is done to them. By the way, I am being fumed right now, and it does mess up my argument a little bit. But ultimately, you have to be an idiot not to see my way. You have to be so fucking stupid. And on top of that, you have the top martial artist and a brain surgeon's namesake saying you have to be so fucking stupid. And somebody who's not elevated by this controlled media. By the time you factor everything in, you'd have to be fucking the craziest person alive not to see it my way. And you'd have to be brave to admit that you see it my way in a way that puts you at risk. People are being trained to reduce themselves to thinking like children as far as blind obedience and submission, or one-eyed obedience to authority. And they are using techniques of psychology to find comfort in doing and being evil. Again, people are being trained to reduce themselves to thinking like children, scared little children who are blindly obeying the experts that replace their parents as far as their leaders, as far as who has control over them, okay, who's their guardians, right, versus a guardian angel. No, guardian demon, guardian angel. I think we all understand that. And they are using techniques of psychology to find comfort in doing or being evil. Are they casting their anxieties on God? No, they're turning to psychology. Bottom line is, I may as well tell someone who enjoys sleeping with his wife when she is dressed like a schoolgirl and he is dosing himself to enhance this activity that he is being childish. People have chose fun over happiness. I've made this argument before. The difference is fulfillment, true fulfillment. The warrior fights for a principle versus pride, fun, comfort, safety. Pats on the head, kind of rubbing behind the ears, being concerned about the flesh of their family, the illusion that they can go along with this system and then somehow cherish the best parts of their loved ones. Basically, what is left of their loved ones by the time you consider that they sell their soul for psychological control to survive. And people, of course, are complicit with murder, rape, etc. When you are part of the infrastructure, part of the machine, part of the beast, part of the system that consistently rapes and murders and drugs and tricks and force medicates people, people that are more logical and behave in a more noble manner than the average person. Obviously, you're doing evil. You're accepting evil. You're being evil. And you're resorting to pathetic illusions that everyone sees through. You have the country basically sliced in half, right and left wing, and libertarians that kind of lean more right and left, right? And what we see is they all see the bullshit in the other party, okay? They see it in its true form to a large degree, but certainly to some degree. So everyone knows that in this country, we can all agree that everybody is living in illusion and they're compromising and so on, except for someone like me. Okay, I don't have time to really elaborate on that point. I'll leave that up to you. Basically, I'm done making videos. This is the end.